Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Grace. I'm on a weight loss journey to lose 55 kilograms. I started at 110 kilos and now I'm at 75 kilos. I want to lose another 20. And welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. So I had a recent video I did. Someone commented if I can talk about how I figured out how many calories I'm meant to have and how to maintain and lose weight, how to maintain a calorie deficit and maintain that sort of weight loss that I've achieved so far, and how to lose weight. So I'm going to talk about how did I figure out how many calories I'm meant to be having. So it's pretty basic. I don't do any fancy thing. Like if you go to someone who really knows their stuff and is like a fitness person or like a fitness coach, they will know like the actual equation to work out and get your calorie requirement, get what your calorie requirement is, get what would be a good deficit for you. But all I did was I just went on to Calorie Counter. It's literally you Google Calorie Counter or Calorie Calculator, and it comes up with this website, and it's really basic, but that is like my go-to website when I just want to kind of check where I'm at, because along my journey where I've been losing weight, I keep rechecking what my calorie requirement is, like what my basal metabolic rate is. And basically what that is, the basal metabolic rate is basically how many calories does your body need just to support the weight that you've got while you're not doing anything. Like if you were just lying in bed doing nothing, because what this website does is it will tell you like your basal metabolic rate, and then it'll tell you what would be a good calorie intake for you based on certain amounts of deficit. So like a mild deficit would probably be really roughly, let's say like 250 calories or anything less than 250 calories a day of a deficit. So say if your basal metabolic rate is 1500 calories. So you want to, and because it depends on what your activity level is. So you basically, just to make it easy, you put in your activity level. So if you get absolutely no exercise, if you just have an office job, then you would just put in like sedentary. And then if you maybe like do 1 or 2 fitness classes a week, then you have all these different options basically for how active you are. So it just makes it really easy. I'll put the link to this website that I'm talking about below. Basically, you have like different levels of deficit, and there's like extreme, weight loss when it's like over 500 calories of deficit a day. So basically, just to keep it simple, so if your calorie requirement, your basal metabolic rate is 1500 calories, then a big deficit would be like 500 calories. And that would mean you're only having like 1000 calories a day, which is very low and not recommended. So anything below like 1200 calories for women is like really low. So unless you were like really, really short, because that's the thing, like some people, it might actually be their calorie requirement is only like 1200 calories because like you might be really short. Like if you're say like 5'1", which I think is like 150 something centimeters, I'm not even sure. But if you're really short, then you're just not going to need as many calories as like me, average height. I'm like 5'5", 165 centimeters tall. Like you're just not going to need as many calories. And maybe it's only a small amount. Maybe it's only like 100 calories difference or something, but it's still going to make a difference. And obviously for me, like I'm having like my calorie requirement is like super, super low compared to say like a man who is say like over 6 feet tall and he's like really big and like muscly. My calorie requirement is like tiny compared to someone like that. So obviously everyone's different. So that is my just do that. And it doesn't have to be like super fancy. Like, I don't think you have to go to like a fitness person and get them to do it for you. No, just there's no point. You can just go online and work it out. The website that I'm talking about, it's just like an automatic calculator. You don't have to figure it out. Like, it's just so easy. Like, you just literally go to this website, put in everything, all you need is your weight and height, and it'll figure it out. You'll put in your age, and as I said, you put in your activity level, and then it'll figure it out, and it'll recommend a calorie a calorie, like a number of calories that you can eat a day. And obviously you don't have to be perfect. And I like to just kind of have a bit of a range. So instead of being like, I am having 1,200 calories a day and like that's my target, it's more like between 1,200 and 1,400 calories. I like to have a range rather than like it must be 1,200. So yeah. And but that's definitely like my recommendation. And thank you so much to the person who left that comment, because it was just like, I love talking about this stuff. So thank you so much for leaving that comment. But yeah, just do that. It's so easy. And because obviously if you are new to weight loss and you've never done this before, like you don't really know much about calories. You don't really know much about like calorie counting and actually how to lose weight. That's the other part of the question actually, was like how to maintain and lose weight. So at first I didn't really worry too much about calories, and I talked about this in my last video or a couple of videos ago. And at first I didn't do any calorie counting. I didn't do any calorie counting for a really long time. I did have an idea of how many calories I was meant to be having, and as I said, along this journey of losing weight, every now and again, I'd be like checking in with that calorie counter just to be like, oh, I wonder how many calories I'm meant to be even having. And obviously, like, I've been doing that a lot this year because I have actually been calorie counting this year, which I think the more weight you lose and like the lower your weight gets, I think it is good to actually like fine tune it. At first, you can make these little changes and focus on like the big issues. As I've said in a previous video, like you really need to figure out, okay, like why am I so overweight? Why am I so obese? Like this is obviously a big issue for me, and to actually work on those issues, not to be like thinking, oh, I need to change myself right now. I need to change my whole life like today. I need to pick a diet. I need to go to the join the gym. I need to do all these things. Just start really slow at first, like for real. And even with the calorie counter, I think it's good to get on the calorie counter website and just to have an idea of, okay, like that's how many calories I should be having, especially figuring out how many calories should you be having in a deficit. Like, and just pick a deficit. It could, you could be a bit more like, be a bit more aggressive with it and be trying to lose between half a kilo or a kilo a week. Or you can just start out slow, which I think is a good way to go. Just start off really simple and basic and aim between like say 250 or 500 calorie deficit, but just figure that out. The website's so easy to use, so just figure that out, but then really focus on the big issues. Like if you binge at nighttime, if you're overeating, like obviously like you might not be full on binging, but maybe you're just overeating at nighttime and that's really what is making you fat and overweight. Just focus on that and try and figure out, okay, like how can I stop myself from doing this? Like really, that's the big issue. Like you don't really have to be calorie counting yet. So that's what I would recommend. I think it's important to start to learn about the calories that are just in the food that you normally eat. So just if you really don't know anything about calories, I would just be paying attention to the calories that are in the foods that you eat. If you are eating a lot of like processed food, obviously this is a bit easier because you can just look on the packet and see how many calories is in the food you're eating. But if you are eating a lot of like home foods and cooking things yourself, or someone else is cooking for you, and you can't see how many calories is in something because it doesn't say, that's really good, because it's so much better to eat like actual home cooked or, just actual cooked from scratch food. It's so much better for you. But just get into that habit of like learning about how many calories are in the foods that you eat all the time. If you just get into that habit, I think that's a really, really good start. And then that'll just give you this like, it'll just get you in that habit of thinking that. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope it helped just to know a little bit more about Calorie. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I talk about weight loss and all sorts of things. I'm planning different things and I do a lot of shorts, so please subscribe. I am on a weight loss journey to lose 55 kilograms. I've lost 35 so far and I have another 20 to go, and I hope to get to my goal by the end of the year. So watch this space. Please subscribe. I'm really hungry, so I think, yeah, I'll leave it there and I will see you soon. Bye.